Hi, my name's Andrew McGall, and today I want to tell you a fly called the Calvin shrimp. It's actually a Scottish pattern, but as you can maybe tell from my accent, I'm from Ireland. But it's a pattern that's actually done very well over the last couple of seasons here, as well as obviously Scotland. And really what the first thing I want to do is to show you some of the materials that we'll be using today. There's quite a range of them and they're quite specialised, so I just want to maybe take just a few minutes to go through those and tell you a wee bit more about it. Okay, well, as I say, these are the materials that we're going to be using in the fly today. I'll just take you a very quick run through them, and then we'll talk about them a wee bit more in detail as we actually use them. So as you can see there, we've got two types of hackle. We've got a orange cock hackle, and then a dyed badger, dead red badger. Then we've got jungle cock for the eyes of the fly. And then if we start at the top here, we've got orange fox, Arctic fox, and then three types of Arctic runner, magenta, red, and then orange. And then a bit of bling, always like a bit of bling, and this is angel hair, it's fuchsia colour. And then we've got some light bright and some red seal's fur, which is for the body. And then we're going to be tying it on a tube, so we've got a couple of different diameters of tubing and a couple of cone heads there. And just various tools that we'll be using, tying thread. Just to save a bit of time, I've also made up the various materials here. So that's a bit of the dubbing, jungle cock eyes, we've got the orange wing, and then the three elements of the tail, the Arctic runner. And that's pretty much all we'll be using today, so I think we'll get started. Okay, well, as I say, what we're going to do today is we're going to tie a tube version of the fly rather than a hook, tied on a hook. And what we want to do is we're going to be using Yuma materials. I find Yuma very good. They're very well made, and also they're very consistent in terms of diameters and things like that. So I just find they're a very good quality product. And what we'll be doing is we're actually going to be tying it on a plastic tube with a cone head. And to do that, the Yuma comes in 4 different sizes of tubing. There's an extra small, a small, a medium, and a large. What I find is you can actually tie straight onto the the small sized tubing. It's rigid enough that you can tie straight onto it. The extra small tubing is actually a little bit too fine. It's not rigid enough to tie onto. So basically you're tying straight onto the small tubing, and then for the hook hold at the back we'll be using the large tubing, and literally it just slides on very neatly in like that. And then the final part of the equation is the cone head, and what we do is we just slide that on like that, and basically that's really the setup that we'll be using there. So as you can see here, this is quite a nice fit, but we want to make that even snugger. So the way we do that is to simply burr the end of the tubing, and then we fit that inside there. So the way we burr the tubing is just to use a lighter, and we just start the lighter, and literally just for a couple of seconds we just want to create a small ridge, and then just with a blunt servadium like that, just to create that little ridge. And then literally all you're doing is you're just putting the tubing in like that, and so as I say, that just creates a much nicer, a neater fit, and that's ready to go. So what I'll do is I'll just cut this. We'll probably tie a fly around about maybe an inch long, so I'll cut that there. And then also what I'll do is I'll cut the tubing round about there. I like to cut it also to the actual length, because it actually helps you sort of with the proportions of the fly and also the hook. Some people don't put the tubing in, but I just find that if you actually cut it to the right length, it just helps you with proportions of the fly. So we'll take that apart there, and then what we'll do is we'll cut this right to the right size. And as I say, the fly is approximately going to be about an inch long. So that's us really ready to go. As you can see here, I'm just using one of the tube fly adapter tools. You can get various different ones. This is a Yuma one, which is very easy to use, just literally slips into the vise. and it's also tapered, so it creates a nice snug fit on plastic tubes. Plastic tubes are much easier to tie on than metal tubes, because the metal tubes then you have the issue with them spinning, but in the plastic tubes it's much easier. So literally we just put that onto the tube, or to the needle, and then the tying thread I'm using today is, I use different ones, but it's probably the most common one I use is UTC. This is UTC 70, which is fine, relatively fine, but for most sound flies I find it works fine. And the other good thing about UTC is it lays very flat, so it helps to reduce the bulk. So what I'm going to do is, just to start off with, is to tie that in, and tie it up the body, and we'll just snip that off. And then whenever you're using plastic tubes, one of the things you need to do is to just put a very thin bit of varnish onto the tube, and this just helps to create a nice bed, and also to make sure that the tying thread doesn't slip round. So just put a little bit of that on, like that. And then also the important thing to do when you're tying a tube fly is to do lots of whip finishes every time you complete a stage, because you don't want to, if the tube slips, and then sometimes the thread can slip off and you would lose all the materials you just tied in. So just as it's a good sort of habit to get into, just to do that. Okay, so as I say, what we'll be doing is we'll be putting the clear plastic sleeve for the hook just on the end of this. But what we want to do is, whenever you can use different colours of the tubing, but when you're using clear, I like to create an additional little sort of target sort of area at the back. So what I normally do for that is I use UTC. This is opal. This is the same material as we're going to be using in the for the rib. Okay, well, as I say, what we're going to do is we're going to tie in some of this Mirage tinsel in. So we literally just tie that in a couple of wraps just to secure it, and then what we do is just wind that up to the ridge at the end, and then finish that down, and just tie that off. Wrap it up a few times just to make sure it's secure, and snip it off. And as I say, at that stage just do another whip finish just to secure it down. So that's really just that little tag in. And then what I like to do, as I say, I'll slide that off now, and then we slide on our little hook bit. So if I put that in there now, so hopefully you'll be able to see. So now we've got the hook holder there, bit there. Underneath there, you've got the tinsel, and I say that just shines through the clear tubing and just helps to give you a little bit more of a target area. So that's really ready to go. Next thing we want to be putting in is just a fine rib, and we'll just tie that. And again, the same thing is, the other thing with the rib is, one of the reasons why you want to put a rib in, if you put the tail too close to that ridge, it can actually cause the tail to flare up. So if you put a short rib in, it actually helps to move the tail a little way forward, so that it sits more at a natural angle. So literally we just tie that in at the side, and then tie that in. And probably about 3 to 4 turns is all you'll need. So tie that in like that. And snip that off. And again, just another whip finish. Okay, so that's really ready now to put the tail in. So we'll go back up to the bottom of the fly. Just use your nail to make sure that rib's all nice and even.